Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for a link to my Amazon store where I've compiled some of the very best knives and gear. There's a whole bunch of different categories, including some of my own personal recommendations. There's something down here for everybody, so make sure you take a look. Thanks! What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to do with you guys. This is the QSP Harpyie, spelled in a very interesting way. Let me get the box here real quick. Harpye. You can see their S35VN blade, carbon fiber, and G10 handle. Very, very interesting. This knife was sent, like many others, from the pass run group, the Apex pass run group that I'm involved with, which means by extension, most likely came to the manufacturer. I always try to not let that affect my review, but it should be pretty easy because I don't get to keep the knife. As I always point out, if you guys are enjoying my daily content, you'd like to support this channel, you can follow the link in the description to my Patreon where you can get your hands on some cool stickers like the ones you're seeing there, as well as gain access to my once-a-week Patreon exclusive video that I do for my patrons. So if that sounds good to you, the support would mean the world to me. Anyways, let's go ahead and get a measurement on this guy. Overall length, it's not a small knife. Almost 8 points, it's not quite 8 points, it's like 8.6 inches. Blade length coming in, 3.8. Is it? Yeah, it's 3.8 inches. Cutting edge, also about 3.8. Impressive ratios, absolutely. How about some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1? Rat 1 coming in just a hair longer at 8 point... No, I'm sorry. They're the same size. 8.6 inches. Except you get the benefit a little more cutting edge there on the QSP. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. And last but not least, the Spyderco Para 3. Para 3 coming in at 7.25 inches overall. How's the action on this guy? Well, this guy's running on bearings. I've reviewed a few QSP knives in the past. These knives are not made in the United States. They're made in China. They make great quality knives using sometimes budget materials, sometimes more high-end materials for less than what you'd expect usually, and less than what their American counterparts would cost. The action on this is great. It's not fall shut. It needs a little bit of encouragement to shake shut, but man, the detent feels nice and crispy. It fires out. Completely and totally acceptable in today's knife world. Also, because of this little fuller right here, I found that I am not really able to get in here like this, but the reverse flick, oh yeah, because you can dig your finger into that thing all the way down here if you want to, which makes the detent really easy to break. And because it extends down the blade, whoops, you can kind of, you know, depending on how big your hand is, where you like to put it, you can kind of change up. You know, it's not a dedicated spot. So there's some fidget factor there that I really, really appreciate. How about weight on this guy? Let's first measure the thickness of the blade. It doesn't look to be a super thick blade. I'm going to guess that's about 130 thousandths, but I've been wrong before. Let's go ahead and give it a shot here. Zero out. There we go. Okay. 121 thousandths. Okay, that makes sense. So let's put it up against like the Ritter Hogue, which is supposed to be about 125. Okay, there you go. That makes sense. I do that because I don't always trust the calipers. We are looking at full steel liners, though, on the inside. Can you guys see in there? They have been milled out a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of milling. And we're looking at a combination of carbon fiber and G10, carbon fiber bolsters. Pretty cool. You don't see that often. I like that. So it's a big knife, but it's not like overly thick, overly tall, or anything like that. I'm gonna take a guess here that we're looking at like I'm gonna say 4.6. I swear. So here's, okay, I cheated a little bit. I didn't look it up, but what I did is, because I know what this guy weighs, and just off camera, I picked this guy up and I was like, yeah, it's a little heavier. It's 4.6. I just want to be honest with you guys. I was close, but I cheated a little bit. So 4.55 ounces is what this is coming in at. Considering you have a 3.8 inch blade and cutting edge, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know why I did the Super Mario voice there, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Absolutely. No issues there. If you are somebody that carries smaller knives or lighter knives, if you're somebody that considers anything over 4 ounces heavy, if you're somebody that wears light pant material, you know, or athletic shorts, or you carry a Spyderco Para 3 or a bug out, this probably isn't going to be the knife for you. On top of that, if you live in an area where this long a blade is not legal, then obviously it's not going to be for you. But for anybody else, you know, I wear jeans and I just do regular stuff with my knives. I'm used to carrying knives about this size and weight. Yeah, it's not going to be that much of a problem. Let's go ahead and talk about carry profile here. So not a lot of height, not an enormous amount of thickness or anything like that up against this. Well, actually, you know what? The contouring, once again, really throwing me off there. Whenever a knife is contoured, it feels good in the hand. It feels like it fills it out without being overly thick. And that's because it sort of curves down to the edge. So actually, this guy has a decent amount of thickness. You can see up against the Spyderco Para 3, which, you know, isn't a thin knife. It actually is fairly thick. So there you go. Now, in terms of height, though, yeah, the Spyderco Para, at least the PM2, is more awkward. Two knives that are very awkward and nobody ever complains about. Spyderco PM2 and Para 3 having that hump there. You can see it's nowhere near as tall. So you're not dealing with a lot of weight. You're not dealing with a lot of height. You're dealing with a little bit of excess thickness, which means just more bulk in the pocket. If you carry other stuff in your pocket, then the bulk and the flipper tab might bother you. If you don't carry anything else in your pocket and you're wearing jeans or regular pants, it's not going to bother you. It's just going to be just fine. I think that's everything we normally talk about. So anyways, let's talk about the anatomy here. I love QSP's pivot, the show side pivot, the little triangle. It's really nice. Just the combination of the black and the satin, it just looks really, really good. You have this combination of G10 and carbon fiber, which, as I said in the unboxing, is just not something you see very much. And considering we have satin on the blade and then this sort of glossy black, it's probably more like paint than anything else. I don't really like the two-tone look, but all the contrasts are nice and it gives it a fairly unique look, you know, on an otherwise very simple, you know, very simple handle, very common blade shape. The blade itself is made out of S35 VN, which is pretty impressive considering the price. We're going to talk about that here in a sec. There's some jimping up top, nice and functional. All these lines up here, nothing super sharp. It is catching my fingernails just a little bit right there, but it's not that crazy. You can see it carries reasonably meaningful thickness out to the tip, so that's nice. There's a decent amount of room for it to drop. I wouldn't say it's ultra thin behind the edge, but it's going to be plenty good for EDC. I don't usually get hung up on that. I mean, knife manufacturers now, you know, whether they're from China or the United States, they're from, you know, Italy, Germany, Russia. A lot of these brands that are making really well-made knives, like their edges are sharp. You know, it's just one of those things that we've come to just expect. It's nice and sharp. It's sharpened well. It's going to cut regular stuff. It's not going to shave a grape, but why are you shaving grapes, right? What do you do for a living? That's weird. If you find that you're shaving toilet paper and grapes, right, you have an odd occupation, but I'll admit you need a very, very specific knife. For the other 99.99999% of us who are not doing that, this knife will work just fine. I find that, you know, this area, like right here, this part of the knife looks super classy, and then there's kind of some corniness, combination of the QSP that's on fire and the slightly reflective black two-tone with the blade. Some people might like that. I don't like it as much. I would have preferred the entire blade was satin and that QSP logo wasn't there, but it's not necessarily the biggest eyesore. I completely understand the benefit of a recurve blade, which is what this is, this curvature right here. Completely understand the benefit of it. As you cut, you know, sort of press in and cut like this, or you cut here, it draws material into the main belly of the blade. That's fine. I don't like recurves for two reasons. Number one, I don't find them super aesthetically appealing. And number two, I don't like to sharpen them. There are a lot of people who are way better at sharpening than me and don't have a problem with it. And if you're one of those people, then there you go. It's probably not going to bother you. But if you're like me and you're basically a novice sharpener, yeah, it is a little bit harder to sharpen than a regular blade. And I promise you, you know, despite S35VN being one of the more friendly super steels out there, it's still not fun to sharpen a recurve. So I don't really like that, but it's not something I can really come down on it all that much for because it's a proven blade shape, right? Moving down here, let's talk about the flipper tab. The flipper tab is just shaped perfectly. There's a little bit of jimping up top that gets you or allows you traction when you're flipping the blade. So if you want to do more of a light switch or you want to do a push button, I mean, it's set up for that. You can do it all day. It's not uncomfortable. The jimping is underneath the flipper tab, which means if you're going to bear down and use this knife a lot without gloves, you're definitely going to notice that jimping over time. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just something you should be cognizant of. But yeah, the detent's in the right place. There is no double clutch. I would imagine it'll get smoother and smoother over time, so it's not going to be, you know, it's not going to be an issue. It's generic detent, flipper tab, and relationship of the blade setup. It's good. It's what you'd expect. It's nice. Moving down to the bolster here, you can see this carbon fiber looks really, really good. This is perfectly seamless. Seriously, it is 100% seamless. I can't feel it. It's beautifully done. Really, really nice. I had never thought of a carbon fiber bolster on G10. I had seen titanium as the bolster with carbon fiber. I had seen carbon fiber as the bolster with titanium, aluminum as a bolster with G10, right? But I've never seen this. And it looks, in my head, I probably would not have imagined that it would look this good, but it does. I really like that. It looks nice. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check on this guy. Go ahead and get out my handy-dandy WIA bit selector and WIA magnetic driver. You know, I had moved this segment earlier on in my reviews, and for whatever reason, I skipped it. So we'll do it now. These items are very recommendable, very inexpensive. You can find them down in my Amazon store that I referenced at the very beginning of the video. Just pull open the store, look for the category that shows knife maintenance, and you should be able to find both of these items pretty easily, along with a whole bunch of other really useful stuff. I'm going to guess those handle screws are T6. What do we got? That's T7. I don't like T6. I don't like having to use a teeny tiny bit and mess with the teeny tiny head, especially one on a knife that's made in China. But yeah, that's what they are. They're T6. That's never a deal breaker. It's just annoying. I say it like in half of the knives that I review. Let's get rid of T6. Let's just do T8. I'm going to guess the pivot is T8, which is always welcome. But can you imagine if the pivot and the body screws were all T8, and then you wouldn't have to change your head? Yeah, it's T8. And you could just adjust everything or break everything down with just one head. That would be fantastic. But you can't always get what you want. Something I'm reminded of every day. I still, though, it's not, I'm making a joke out of it. It's really not that big of a deal. It's just mildly frustrating. There's a lanyard hole for people who like lanyards. There's a nice G10 backspacer that's gear pattern, sticks up just a little bit so you can gain the benefit of the traction. I like seeing the liners. They're milled out so it can justify coming all the way out to the edge in terms of the total amount of material. I like the contrast with the G10 and the carbon fiber. It looks nice. What I don't like or understand is why they had to put that screw there, because the pocket clip is a deep carry clip that's not really all that deep carry. Honestly, I would have preferred we just take the lanyard hole and throw it into the ether, because there's like 7 people left who like lanyards. I'm sorry, I'm being mean. If you like lanyards, that's fine, but most people don't put a lanyard on their knives. So we can get rid of that, move the screw here, and then move the pocket clip up. Right? And then you've actually got a knife that's deep carry, but it's not that big of a deal. You only have that much of the knife sticking out of your pocket, but it's like, why? Why did we prioritize the screw here? Okay, not that big of a deal. It's a mild frustration. The knife is centered, and it locks up at about 50%, and there's no blade plate. This is a well-made knife, right? It's got some cool features. I'm really impressed with the contouring, the contrast with the carbon fiber and the G10, and how smooth this transition is. Literally, if I close my eyes, I wouldn't be able to tell you where one began and the other ended. The ergonomics on this guy are great. It's got a nice lock-in position. It's smooth, but the lines are going to lock you in. Fidget factor's there. It's got a nice flipper tab. It's got a nice detent. You can do the reverse flick. The materials are fantastic, and it's running on bearings. It's surely set up to do everything that all of us in today's modern knife world here in 2020 would expect a knife like this to do. Here's the best part about this. Now, I realize the price used to be different when it came from drop, but you can get this, like, I checked and found this knife on White Mountain Knives, and there's some other retailers where it's available. This knife comes in, I was worried that I was going to see this come in at $150 to $160. No, actually, it's about $120. And I can tell you guys right now, yeah, you know, it's like, well, Tucson has titanium, and they're like, okay, not everybody needs to have titanium, right? And if you look at Tucson's knives, a lot of the ones that are hovering around the $70 mark or $80 mark, the ones you're surely wanting to tell me about, right, they're using titanium in D2. There are a few M390 and titanium variants out there that are about the same price as this, but again, not everybody wants titanium on their knives. This is a very competitive combination of materials, and just overall fit and finish, blade shape, you know, potential performance and price. Very competitive. I was very, very happy to see that. You know, somebody will always, you know, bring up, you know, Kershaw's got some knives that are made in the USA that are 20 CV in aluminum for around $100, $120. Yeah, that's true. Not everybody has to have 20 CV though. You can't automatically say 20 CV or M390 is just better all the way around than S35 VN. S35 VN has, you know, additional toughness that M390 does not have. So while it's not as edge retentive as M390, it's definitely tougher. And it's still stainless while not being as stainless as M390. Edge retention is not the end-all be-all, the ultimate deciding factor in terms of quality and value. It seems like I'm having to say that a lot in my comment section. So my conclusion is here, for 120 bucks, yeah, this is a great knife. Now, you know, again, prices are going to change. What I'm giving you guys a price that I found on White Mountain Knives in March of 2020, right? So it's very specific. You're going to find different prices depending on where you look for this guy and when it is and whether or not it's even available, right? So, but as of right now, yeah, this is pretty good. I don't like the recurve. I don't like the T6 screws. I don't like the two-tone. I don't like the QSP, but I imagine there's some different finishes and things available for this knife. I also don't like the fact that the pocket clip was not emphasized over the screw back here, but other than that, this is a straightforward, really solid knife that's bound to make a lot of people happy. Here's another thing that I really like. Check out the packaging it came with. You get a box. I mean, okay, nobody cares about the box, but you get this QSP pouch and the microfiber cloth. This is nice. It's not a generic pouch. I mean, it really looks nice. It's got a nice oversized zipper. I'm really happy with this. I do not have an issue with any of that, and I'm seeing a lot of value here. So very recommendable. It's definitely going to go on my most recommended knives playlist. I think that's going to be pretty much it for today, guys. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this metal complex logo right here and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.